I'd like to call the meeting to order and welcome everybody to the Laverne Planning Commission, October 29th, 2019 regular meeting at 6 p.m. We do have a quorum. First item of business is to approve the minutes from the September 24th, 2019 regular meeting.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second.
Our second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. First item of business, final plat Lot 4B of Interchange City Industrial Park, requested by Grisham Smith, property located at Waldron Road and Howquicker Boulevard, tax map 17-0, Group A, Parcel 2 and 1.01, C2 Highway Service Commercial Zoning District, property owned by Timothy Young and David Kennedy Jr. And is this deferred, Mr. Logan?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Item number 2 is also deferred. We'll move on to item number 3, amendment to the zoning ordinance, amend 4.070, standards for signs restricting portable signs on all city property, presented by Mayor Cole and Mr. Logan. Mr. Logan.
Thank you. This is the same changes to the sign code that we've been discussing for a couple months now, and I think last month, the end of September, we sent out the final draft for the changes to the sign code, and sent those out so that you all could be reviewing those and look for any issues, and also anything that you would like added or changed. So nothing's changed in the last 2 weeks. It's the same version that was handed out and that we discussed 2 weeks ago. So, and I haven't heard any changes from Mr. Ames either, so.
Mr. Chairman, let me just jump in. My homework was to send the email to them. I've not done that, but I would like to send the details to them with my comments, and I'd like to just defer it one more month, and we'll talk about it in the next workshop.
Very good. We have a motion to defer. We have a second.
Our second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Coates. Item number 4 is also deferred. We'll be moving on to item number 5. Final plat, horizontal property regime, the Cottages of Lake Forest Phase 5, requested by Womble and Associates, PLLC. Property located off Logan Drive, north of Sand Hill, tax map 14, parcel 6, R3, high-density residential zoning district. Property owned by Laverne LF Holdings, LLC. Mr. Logan.
Thank you. So this is the horizontal property regime final plat for Cottages of Lake Forest Phase 5. And this does include 100 townhome units. They're attached townhome units, and also common space and amenities. And this phase runs, it's north of Sand Hill Drive, or Sand Hill Road, which is this road with the curve in it, and then this is Nathaniel. So it's north of Sand Hill and Nathaniel in the area you see outlined in blue. And this, of course, came through with the site plan probably a year and a half ago, give or take. So they got approved at that time, and so this is the last step of their approval. And that completes the report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments from the board?
Just want to make a comment that, for the record, these roads in this are all still private. I know that's been a discussion point with this area before, but it is noted on here they are all private drives.
Good. Any other questions or comments?
Chairman, with to handle the items and with the sidewalks coming in, I'll make a motion to accept as submitted.
We have a motion to accept as submitted. We have a second.
I second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. On to our next item. Number 6. Final plat revision to Deer Park, Section 2, requested by Womble and Associates, PLLC. Property located off Minerva Drive, tax map 14-0, Group B, Parcel 2, 3, and 4, R1 low-density residential zoning district. Property owned by Eva Ablenor, Nadia Selman, and B.H. Holmes Construction, Inc. Mr. Logan.
Thank you. This request is to revise a final plat, and it is Deer Park, Section 2, and this revision affects only 3 lots that are highlighted here on the screen. And also, here's a photo of a newer home that's been built. This would be the lot furthest to the south. So there's the new house right there with the concrete driveway. And then in between lots 1 and 3 is this vacant area. There are some trees and a utility pole also located here. And then you can see the lot to the north is a home, brick house, and looks like maybe a ranch-style home. So basically, the only vacant lot is the middle one, which would be the one that I'm pointing to right here. And there were no technical items on this particular item, so that completes the report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments from the board? We'll entertain a motion if no questions.
Chairman, with both technical items being addressed, I'll make a motion to accept as submitted.
We have a motion to accept. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is number 7, concept plan. The retreat at Finch Branch requested by Huddleston Still PLLC. Property located off Irvin Road and Greenwood Drive, tax map 17L, Group A, Parcel 8. R2 Medium Density Residential Zoning District, property owned by Rick Rashia. Mr. Logan.
Thank you. This project actually came to the Laverne Planning Commission in November of 2017. So it has been approved once in the past, but before any work was undertaken, the plat and the concept plan have expired. So they're actually here for reapproval tonight. And first is the concept plan. It is about a 63-acre site. And they are proposing to do all single-family development, which is the same as last time they were here. And it is zoned R2, so they will be building in the zoning that they have. They're not requesting to change the zoning. And there were no technical items. Well, there were some technical items that they've been addressed since the workshop, so that completes the report. Thank you.
Very good, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Questions or comments?
I do. Ms. Logan, the report that we have, initially there was 5 technical items, and then today we show 3. Have we got the wrong sheet? We're showing 3 technical items still open for this item
Are you on the concept plan?
on the preliminary plan.
That would be item 8. We're on item 7, Mr. Coates.
Okay, correct. Good pickup.
Are we good?
And I have a question on that roundabout off of Greenwood. Did we decide on that lot?
They have amended the lot in the plans provided. It has, now its access is actually outside of the roundabout, and they currently showing it becoming the mail kiosk location on the preliminary plat that was submitted. Of course, because the way we do concept plan and preliminary plat, we're talking about the same things right now, so all this will apply to item 8 as well.
Very good. I'm going to kind of step in here just a little bit. I received quite a few phone calls in regards to this roundabout, so, the board will have to pardon me, but I took the liberty of contacting the engineer and seeing if he could possibly give us some other options. If everybody's okay with that, I'll have Mr. Enoch Gerald step up to the podium and kind of show us what he's got. Name and address, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Enoch Gerald with Huddleston Steel Engineering in Murfreesboro. Also with me tonight is Mr. Rick Risha, who's the owner of the property and developer. Originally, we proposed this a year and a half ago. We were just looking at a 3-way stop intersection, Greenwood, Irvin, then the extension of Greenwood that would go to Shiloh. Several discussion. Planning Commission at that time requested the roundabout. Traffic circle, we changed that. And we're really open to a 3-way stop. There's another option that I sent to Adam, I don't know if he stated it or not, but it's sort of where you have your right turns are continuous, but your left turn stop. And I've sort of got a sketch of both of those options, if you'd like to look at them, I don't know, but we have
We don't
looked
mind,
at some other options. And I think a three-way stop is really the best option, but I know there's been some discussion about that too, so.
Adam, what's your feelings on that, Adam?
I mean, a roundabout will work here. Is it necessarily the best fit? I wouldn't think so. I believe a three-way stop is probably best for the area. Just from the point of view that, you know, there's right-of-way concerns with the adjacent property on how close it would potentially encroach on them, even though it is city right-of-way and we have, you know, we can definitely put stuff there. No one really likes the road getting closer to their house, even we have that option. It also is a pretty big detriment to speed due to the constraints on the right-of-way there. It will be a very low-speed roundabout. I think my personal preference would be just make everybody stop. That way we have some, basically, this isn't really a collector-type roadway. It is, but it's fairly low volume, so the speed control measures with three-way stopper would be sufficient as well. So that would be my preference. Like, once again, will a roundabout work as designed? Yes. My preference would be a three-way.
And Mr. Coates, would you being a member of the planning commission, was there a reason why you guys, the board?
The board was concerned about flow of traffic, the amount of homes that's going to be there, and the three-way stop. People at that point in time didn't think it would function. I proposed or suggested the roundabout, and it was drawn in, and it went forward from there. It's up to this board. I just, for my concern, the amount of homes there for a three-way stop is going to be a problem. I mean, it's going to be a problem. But I mean, that's just my comment.
I mean, we just don't want to turn Greenwood in or the surrounding cut through Centennial or anything in there into a speedway. You know, you put, I think it's gonna really help the area, you know, building the homes.
Would you mind showing us what you have in regards
Sure.
to a three-way stop?
And Mr. Ratio, you know, open to really any configuration y'all like to look at, and this would be like what a three-way stop would look like. Sort of at the intersection of blow up and then, you know, because that Greenwood Drive, Irwin, probably built in the sixties.
Yeah.
You know, people are used to that road and the Shiloh Greenwood extension, they, you know, really hadn't seen. Used to be a big sign there, said danger curve 15 miles an hour, big four-way plywood years ago. And the other option that I sent to Adam, I don't know if you looked at it, Adam, was a, what I call a continuous right turn three-way intersection. So if you're coming down any of these roads, you make a right turn without stopping. You continue on Greenwood, you continue on Irving, going this way, or you come around Irving, coming on Greenwood this way, the way you've always come, you keep going. You do stop if you're coming out, making a left turn, you stop here and get into this traffic. It's sort of a triangle kind of intersection. I've not seen one of those around here in a while, but I've seen intersections like that.
And one of the reasons we're at this point is I just got inundated with phone calls from the community, and obviously being from that neighborhood.
And what about the water, the standing water on that property?
Where at?
If you go to where the sharp turn, and if you keep going straight, that back there gets really.
Well, there's a couple of streams on the property.
This area here.
Painted Branch.
Right. But doesn't he have some of the houses that back it right up to it? Some of the lots?
There's not any houses here that back up to us. Greenwood subdivision, which is Centennial Drive, backs
Yes,
up
sir.
to it. I know this property pretty well. Fred Walden used to own it, it's my uncle.
Okay.
I've walked that property for 50 years. There's a spring back in the next sections, back in the back, but there's not any wetlands or standing water. There are two streams. And there's a lot of dirt out there, believe it or not. It's got some slopes, but back up towards Shiloh Drive where that area that years ago, they went up there and dug down about 20 feet just to see if it hit rock, it was all dirt. But there's not any really standing water right in here that I know of. There's been the water line, the city has an 18-inch water main that runs through there up to the Sanders tank. And there's been a little construction entrance built there a time or two over the years. There used to be a smaller line, I can't remember, maybe an 8, and it's been upgraded to a 16 or something now, 12 or 16. And when that water line was put in, 7 or 8 years ago, maybe, Kyle, I can't remember, but, we gave a profile, to the city. At that time, Jerry Butler owned this property. And we gave a profile for the road, and some of that water line they put in 7 or 8 foot deep, so that when we cut the road, we wouldn't be into the line. So it's been planned a long time, that water line and connections with everything.
I think the right turn would be confusing.
I think as, personally, I like the stopping
Freeway
traffic
stop.
completely.
I do too, I mean, that was our original proposal, and that's what we like, I mean, that's what. I
Due to
think
the
we need
input
make
from the
things work.
citizens, I felt that we needed to put something on the table for everybody.
Really
Thank you for
appreciate it.
that point. and-
In my mind, I've seen a bunch of them. The one at near Schreibman works because it's big. You know, McKay's Mill, Franklin's got several of those ones. McKay's Mill, if you ever come through there, are just in the way, in my opinion. Now, the ones at McEwen and Cool Springs are a little bit bigger, and those function okay. But they're more commercial areas. I think in this residential, my preference is a three-way stop. But we're open to a traffic circle if that's the wish of the planning commission.
Good. Well, thank y'all, everyone, for listening, and we'll entertain options and proceed forward at this point. So I'll entertain a motion at this point.
Well, before we go to a motion, if the board were so inclined to move in the direction of a three-way stop, would we have sufficient drawings and such to take action tonight, or would we want to have that submitted for review? I don't want to hold up the process, but I don't want to betray our standard of we approve things correctly and completely.
Perfect, sir. Thank you. Mr. Leach?
Address that. And this is a preliminary plat to get standing for the lots, and it does include the roads and utilities, but we've got to prepare construction plans that the city engineer would approve. And, you know, those technical items, in my opinion, would come as part of that, but Adam, you might jump in on that, but.
Well, to address item 7, it is a concept plan, so concept plans tend to be a little bit fuzzy for this reason, because basically the applicant is seeing what the board is willing to approve. So this is not a final plat. It doesn't really give them a whole lot of vested rights. There's a little, and that's more of a attorney statement there, but essentially they're just getting some rights vested in that, you know, the planning commission has seen this, they know how many units are gonna go on it, and the general layout of the road, which is really what you guys are gonna approve. As far as intersection by intersection details, doesn't necessarily have to be perfect at this point, because, you know, it's not a final plat, there's not construction plans. I do have construction plans, but they'd have to be resubmitted to make these changes, so as far as that goes, there wouldn't be a problem one way or another with what the board elected to do there.
Very good. Questions, comments?
Mr. Huddleston has a drawing that has a three-way stop on it,
Yes, sir. As this copy here.
that copy right there. Can we make a motion on that copy?
How would we do that, Mr. Logan? Mr. Richardson?
That's not what was submitted, so.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Okay, just asking the question.
Let's just move forward. Let's just, I'll make a motion to accept the concept plan as submitted, showing the roundabout, and we discuss it on from there.
Let's go. Okay. I have a
Our
motion-
second.
I have a motion to accept as submitted. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. On to our next item. Thank you all. Preliminary plat, retreated Finch Branch requested by Huddleston Steel, PLLC. Property located off Irvin Road in Greenwood, tax map 17L, Group A, Parcel 8, R2, Medium Density Residential Zoning District, property owned by Rick Rashia. Mr. Logan.
Thank you. So this is the preliminary plat, or the first preliminary plat, that will be submitted for the concept plan for the retreat at Finch Branch. So you'll remember the concept plan is for roughly 62 acres, And this preliminary plat covers 13.07 acres, and that is going to consist of 30 lots, if approved. So that would be 30 single-family dwellings. And there are 3 items under technical items that are engineering notes, so I will let Mr. Leach speak to those. Thank you.
Mr. Leach?
Mr. Chairman, Board, fairly minor things. There's some utilities that cross lots, and typically we request that the easements be shown on all lots for all utilities. That needed to be addressed. The sewer interceptor in the general vicinity is pretty close to capacity. We believe we have capacity for the first phase, so a note should have been revised for that. There is a note on there saying that they will make provisions for that, but they can basically state flat out that they can have their first phase. We've figured that out fairly well at this point. And the other, third comment is actually a general note. Finch Branch is an impaired stream. That's a TDEC designation. Some of their disturbance grading, they'll have to be done inside of the stream buffers, and that's just to make their ponds work. So a remediation plan is going to be necessary for that. That doesn't necessarily have to be, part of their preliminary plat submittal, but it is a necessary item to kind of, I'm not going to say legal this up, to make it right by both TDEC and our stormwater ordinance, particularly with how they're going to reestablish the vegetation within that 60-foot stream buffer. Other concerns are noted there, downstream sewers at capacity. The city is working on upgrades to that, so hopefully, all other things being considered, we'll have that process started construction-wise, probably middle-ish of next year is what we hope, so they'll kind of run concurrently. So I think the capacity problem will solve itself there. And Mr. Gerald has submitted construction plans, which are currently under review. Obviously, if you do decide to request that 3-way stop be included, he'll have to revise his construction plans accordingly.
Adam, would that have to go, that 60-foot, would that have to go in front of the stormwater board?
It's a matter of definition. Essentially, if this board grants them the right to do the work here, they might not have to go in front of it. I think I would have to discuss that with Kyle and Bruce and probably Daniel.
So let me ask you another question. Our city ordinance requires them to go in front of the stormwater board.
Our city ordinance allows, if they haven't already been granted the right by another board.
Right.
If this board says they can do it, the stormwater board has an option one way or the other. It's a problem that we're working on inside the subreg right now as we're doing the subreg review and revision.
But our 60-foot buffer is something that we put together because of all the problems we have with our creeks and streams.
The 60-foot buffer doesn't really, it has more to do with it being impaired. The 60-foot buffer doesn't really have anything to do with floodplains. It's more about maintaining bank erosion and the vegetation that typically comes next to creeks. The city adopted it because originally when the city was proposing its stormwater ordinance, the state said they wanted to do 60. The city adopted it, then the state backed off and went to 30 feet, and then they further backed off and went to an average of 30 feet. So we're comparatively very strict to most other jurisdictions. As far as their impact to the stream, with a remediation plan, I don't see there being a problem, and that mostly has to do with, we know they have to do work near a stream to make this development work, but they would have to also provide a plan and agree to do that revegetation near the stream banks to make sure that there would be no erosion into the creekway.
All standard erosion control.
No, it's actually above and beyond erosion controls.
Questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to ask the engineer a couple of questions.
Mr. Enoch, would you step to the podium, please, sir?
Yes, sir.
So lots 101 through 105, obviously are in the floodplain. And so my question is lot 104 a buildable lot?
Yes, sir. The depth of that is 40 feet. It's 40 by 50. So the footprint would be 2,000 square feet. So yes, sir, it's absolutely buildable lot.
So you would not be at a later date applying to the BOZA for a variance on that lot?
No, sir. We wouldn't have to go to the stormwater board for a variance on any setbacks for the way we've designed it.
If you look at those lots, the rest of the board is just, you can
What
see.
about
that-
the design of the detention area?
Well, like I say, the state, we have a notice of coverage from the state. We've met the state requirements. It's 30-foot, minimum 60-foot average on the buffers, which we have. The way this area drains, it all just sheet flows down to Finch Branch. So it's harder to catch those backyards and put them straight into the creek. So what we've done is we have a detention, and part of that detention area does encroach within the 60-foot buffer. There's not any trees in that area today. The trees are pretty limited to the 30-foot around the stream. There's a lot of briars. I used to run cattle on this property, and it's been growing up for 10 years. It's pretty thick in briars right now. But there's not a lot of trees outside that 30-foot buffer. So we would put in the detention areas, and then we would establish some more vegetation at the top of the detention areas. But the detention areas are not on the lots. We originally were proposing water quality where we'd have basically a detention area in the backyards, a big ditch in the backyards. It's just really not a good idea. So if you look at, all of those lots along Finch Branch, like, 122 to 126, I mean, they're nice big lots, 10,000 to 13,000 square feet with no detention area on the lot. Detention areas in the common open space that we maintain by the property owner association.
Any other questions or comments?
One more, Mr. Chairman. Lot 101, that's below the R2 requirements.
Well, there's an open space beside it, and I can adjust that. I'm not sure what happened there. It was above 10,000, but I guess when we were looking at redoing some of these mail kiosks, that one did get fixed, but that would be above 10,000, because that open space beside it was really just a small detention area, which we can revise, but that's no problem to get that above 10,000.
Again, 101 through 106, those lots, where, will they drain to the rear?
They drain to the rear, correct, What we've done is the detention areas on the other one, we have over-detained. We're still gonna have a water quality component on those lots, but from a stormwater detention standpoint, the detention area behind lots 123 to 126 is larger. So it over-detains the water, so the net increase where it hits Irving Road is no more. So we've over-detained on some of the lots to be able to offset that, when it leaves the property, we have not increased the stormwater peak factors.
My biggest concern is, the 60-foot is 60-foot. That coming in, I don't understand why we can't make the design to be within the guidelines of the 60-foot
I'm not following a little bit, Mr.
on
Church.
this side over here of the detention area.
Well, I mean, the houses are not built in that 60 feet. There are some of the lots that go back into that 60-foot buffer. We've had other subdivisions do the very same thing. Pinnacle Point has several of those that.
We've had some single-family homes in this same area that people have came in front of us wanting to build, and it hasn't gotten through because of the 60-foot,
They were trying to encroach into that 60-foot with structure. With the structure, they were trying to encroach.
That was the actual.
There would be no structures in this,
Actually,
Mr. Leach, if you would.
So essentially, we're coming back to a floodplain question there, not necessarily what the buffer's actually meant to do. But they're taking mass out of the floodplain. So whenever you take stuff out of the floodplain tends to recede. So that wouldn't actually be updated with the FEMA map, but if you were to model it hydraulically, that's basically what would happen. There's not going to be a structure there, so their mass balance is actually going to go to the negative as they build those ponds for water quality and detention.
I think where the direction Mr. Church is going is you're concerned with structures being built within this 60-foot?
Right.
They're building a depression, so they're actually taking away stuff as opposed to building anything. So
We
it's all
wouldn't have any
fixed.
structures in that buffer.
Thank you, Mr. You know, that's what we're trying to get at.
So you still have the
No
same,
construction is, I'm sorry,
you
Mr.
got the lot size, the square footage is enough on the lot, so you're not gonna be within that.
Right, we won't have any structure, we won't need any variances to put a structure in that 60-foot buffer.
Great. Thank you for answering that. Clearing that up.
We're trying to get, the answer we're trying to get to, Mr. Church? Very good. Questions or comments?
And on this plat, it's got the roundabout. Are we wanting the three-way stop? Would that have to be changed on this?
Once again, this is a preliminary plat. It's kind of in that same realm as concept plan. We could definitely have it changed at the final plat. That's, you know, basically where the rubber hits the road and really their vesting requirement. They get fully vested, and I think Daniel might be able to speak to that better than I can, but, you know, as far as that goes, you can either ask for it now or we can catch it at the final plat. That's the board's decision.
Very good.
And historically, we'd like to have the ones in front of us win a vote on. So with that, I mean,
Agreed, sir.
what I'm trying to say is let's get it drawn as this board wants it and then approve it. Yes, it takes another month, but let's be consistent.
I agree.
And,
We can also get
Move
the
forward
address,
with-
we also, sorry, Mr. Chairman, we also address the three items that the staff have too. So
Yes, sir.
let's tidy this up and make it right.
we have 3 items on the technical item, and we have some changes that we're likely going to ask for. So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
So then, let us, technically, the applicant can defer, so then keep things moving forward, or we have to vote on it.
There you go. Mr. Gerald?
We'd request a defer. I mean, I don't want to be denied and have to skip 2 months.
Right, and you're more than familiar with the way we do things.
You know, because
There are 3 technical items.
the
on
submittal
here.
was yesterday. But if you want us to defer to change the intersection to a 3-way stop, is that what I'm hearing?
And the technical items.
Okay.
Have you got a copy?
Right, do not have a copy of those, but we can address those.
We will get your copies, sir. So we will defer this till next month. We'll address everything, and
Mr. Chairman, and also we want to, the other technical item is to address lot 101, because it needs to be 10,000 and the way we're seeing
I
this.
will address that, yes, sir. Yes.
anything else you've got? Anyone? Very good.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Next item.
Just got one shot to get it right.
That's right, sir. Next item, number 9, set bond amount for cottages of Lake Forest Phase 7, tax map 14, PO Parcel 6, requested by Danny Womble, R3 Residential Zoning District, or High Density Residential Zoning District. Mr. Logan?
Thank you. This is the bond setting for the Cottages of Lake Forest Phase 7, and it is zoned R3, and the bids have been submitted by 3 different companies as required, and the companies that submitted were MAC or MAC, 4-Star Paving, and Scott and Ritter, and the engineer's estimate has come to $62,800 in total. That's all, thanks.
Are y'all satisfied with that amount? Mr. Leach?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I am.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
Chair, make a motion to accept the bond amount, 62,800.
Our second.
You second, sir? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item. Set bond amount for Minerva Village Phase 1, tax map 14, parcels 44 and 45, requested by Danny Womble, R2 Medium Density Residential and R3 High Density Residential zoning districts. Mr. Logan?
Thank you. This is the bond setting for Minerva Village. and this is Phase 1. It's zoned R2, and this phase consists of 18 lots. And the 3 bids that were submitted are from J.B. Rollins, 4-Star Paving, and Gibbs Brothers Incorporated, and the engineer's estimate comes to $83,100.
Thank you, sir. Questions or comments?
I make a motion, we approve the 83,100.
We have a motion to approve 83,100. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item. Amendment to site plan Jones Boulevard, Lot 8, requested by Dale and Associates. Property located at 165 Jones Boulevard, tax map 17, parcel 7.12, I-2 Heavy Industrial Zoning District, property owned by Ms. Patrick Property Holdings LLC. Mr. Logan.
Thank you. This project came before the Planning Commission this past April. And so it's been 6 months ago. This is an industrial development at 165 Jones Boulevard. And you can see the ortho there. It looks somewhat different today because they're building, have been building, but this is Jones, and here's the cul-de-sac. And then this is the new Park 24, one of the buildings here that's a giant building. And then that's zooming out some, so you can see the 3 new buildings here, and this is Mason Road. So this lot was here, and they got approval for 6 new warehouses. They vary in size, but 6 new buildings to be built on the site, and you can see the steel frame that's going up. It's hard to see with the trees, but they are building this steel frame building, and then here's the construction trailer out by the road. And so there's a ditch section here, and this request is coming because the applicant would like to discuss the possibility of paying the fee in lieu instead of installing a sidewalk. So we're not looking at we're not trying to approve the whole site plan, we're just looking at the change, so it's an amendment to it would be an amendment to the site plan. And the fee in lieu that was calculated was a 6-foot wide sidewalk times 269 feet, and $550 per square foot is $8,877.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments? I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept as submitted.
So a motion to accept the request for fee and lieu, sir?
Yes.
I have a motion to request, or accept the request for fee and lieu. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll do a roll call vote on this one. We'll start with Mr. Holliday.
No.
Aye.
No.
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 Aye.
Motion does not pass. On this item, so we will not be accepting the fee and lieu. We'll have to proceed on with the sidewalks. That will be moving on to our next item. Final item is bonds and letters of credit. Mr. Leach.
Mr. Chairman, on the back page of your packet, you'll see the up-to-date list of bonds. Of course, we've accepted a lot of maintenance bonds here recently because we've accepted a lot of subdivisions. I believe the Ridge Phase 1 is also going to come in looking for acceptance on next month's agenda, so you might see a little bit of change there. Haven't seen a lot of home building activity recently. It seems to be slowing down, so we'll not a whole lot of change in numbers there, but
Very
that's
good.
pretty much all there is.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Any questions in regards to this item? That, I'd like to thank everyone. Meeting adjourned.